Hi, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we are going to discuss the three most common mistakes that widowers make when they date again and get into relationships, and also the three common mistakes that women who are dating widowers make when they're dating widowers and get into relationships with them. The purpose of this video is hopefully that you can examine the reasons why you're dating or why you're even in a relationship, make changes, or even have a tough conversation with the person that you're dating, whether or not the relationship is worth continuing or if changes need to be made. So, without further ado, I'm going to go over these three issues for widowers first, and then I'll discuss the three issues for women dating widowers. So, with widowers, the top issue I see is that they are dating without a purpose. Basically, they get into the dating game just because they feel the need to date, and it's basically to fill a hole in their heart, if you want to be honest with you. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with dating because you're lonely or want to fill a hole in your heart. And I put myself in this category as well. When I started dating again, it was just like, I'm lonely, I miss my wife, I'm going to start dating again. So it isn't necessarily that that's a mistake, because I think all widowers are pretty much at that point. It's rare. I have had coaching sessions where I've met widowers who have kind of moved past that. But for the most part, when widowers date again, they're dating without a purpose. They're just dating to date. And so that's fine as long as you're honest about, if you understand that, yeah, this is why I'm dating again, and I'm not sure why I don't know what it is that I'm looking for, but I feel this need to date. Now, the way to get around this problem, the way to really decide why am I dating and is dating right for me, is to actually go out and date a bunch of people, right? The suggestions I often give widowers when I talk to them is that, look, things have changed. The way you meet people, the way dates go have changed since, whatever it was, 20 years ago when you were 20, 30 years ago when you were dating your wife. So why don't you go out and just date a bunch of people? Again, nothing serious. This isn't any kind of serious thing. You just go out, have coffee with people, meet a bunch of different people, do it 2 or 3 times, see how you feel about dating again. So again, nothing necessarily wrong with dating without a purpose, but are you are you ready to recognize that this is why I'm dating again, and these are some of the issues that I have, and am I willing to kind of go in there and say, hey, maybe I am ready to date again, and at least give you a chance to kind of think about, why am I dating again, and is dating even right for me? Because the issue is that when they date without a purpose, it leads to the second problem. And the second problem I see with widowers is that they have a tendency to latch on to the first person that shows the slightest bit of interest in them. Typically, it's someone that they know. It could be, a work colleague, a former person that they dated, or even just a friend, things like that. But someone shows interest in them. They go out on a date. They have a good time. The woman shows interest in them, and because the widower doesn't know exactly why he's dating again, he tends to start a relationship with someone before he's ready to actually, again, to know what he wants. And it's just kind of like the first person that comes into their lives. Again, if you're dating a widower and you're the first person, he's gotten serious with as his wife died, don't panic. But again, you kind of need to, for widowers, again, ask yourself, why am I in this relationship? Am I in it because there's actually something here and we're working towards a common goal or an end game, whatever that is, marriage or something like that? Or am I just kind of latched onto this person because it feels good to have someone in my life? And again, this is a mistake that I made, and I see widowers make. For those who have read Room for Two, you can read the story about Jennifer in there. And, again, just kind of latched onto her because she showed interest in me. It wasn't that there was necessarily that she was the right person for me, but heck, it sure felt good to have someone in my life. It sure felt good to come home and talk to somebody, or, just to have someone to listen to. Made the hole in my heart better, so to speak, at least temporarily. So again, the first mistake is they're really dating without a purpose, and the second mistake is which leads to the second mistake, which is they get serious with someone without really understanding, just, hey, there's someone in my life. It makes me kind of feel happy. And then the third mistake I see widowers make, again, the second one leads to the third mistake, is that even if they realize that the relationship isn't for them and there's no long-term potential, is that they settle for companionship. That, they're like, well, I had this great marriage with my late wife. I'm with somebody now who probably won't make me happy long term, but you know what? The alternative is living a life alone, not having someone to talk to, not having someone to be with. And when giving the choice, um, I'd rather have somebody in my life than nobody in my life. And you can kind of see how these mistakes build on each other. And I often see on the opposite end of it, right? I talk to women who are like, I'm dating someone and it feels like there's a third party in our relationship. I'm competing with a ghost. I don't feel like he's fully engaged in the relationship. Things of that. Those are some of the concerns that I see. But it's really because that the widower has made the mistake of he's settling, right? He knows. I think deep down, if people took time, if widowers took time to think about what they really wanted, they could come up with like, this is where I'm at in my life now, and this is what I need in order to have a fulfilling relationship. But you know, based on, but that takes work. That's going to mean I have to end this current relationship, and that means my life is left alone. And let's face it, life alone sucks, and I don't know how to deal with that. And so I'm just going to settle for companionship. So anyway, those are the three mistakes I see widowers make. Again, dating to fill a hole in their heart. They latch on to kind of the first person that shows interest to them, and then once they realize the relationship's not for them, they settle for companionship because they don't like the idea of being alone. Now, the way around that is pretty simple. It's like, take a step back and decide what it is you really want in your life. If you actually read the Ultimate Dating Guide for Widowers, I believe it's chapter 7 in that book, I actually talk about a way that you can go through and evaluate and decide not only what it is that you're looking for, but is the current relationship you're in one that will bring you long-term happiness and joy. So you can go check out that book and go from there. So switching gears here, let's talk about the 3 mistakes that women make when dating a widower. And actually, you'll kind of see that the mistakes that widowers make and that the mistakes that women make kind of feed into each other, and that's how we end up with relationships that maybe shouldn't have started in the first place, that aren't meant to be, or maybe even don't have long-term potential. So the first mistake that I see is that the women allow widowers to get away with behavior and things that they wouldn't tolerate from a single or divorced man. There's this tendency to think, well, he's a widower. I've never dated a widower before. What can I say? Well, what can I expect? I don't know what to do. And so, because he's lost his wife, I'm going to lower my standards. I'm going to lower my expectations of what I want in a partner or a husband or someone that I date. And again, this feeds back to the thing, the widower is exhibiting behavior that maybe he's not ready to date again. And if it was a single or divorced man, the woman wouldn't tolerate it. But because he lost his wife, they're wondering, well, can I say anything? Is this normal? What is it that I can do? And really, it's really, you should expect the same behavior from a widower that you would a single or divorced man. And I understand that there's going to be issues that you don't run into with single or divorced men. But the issue is what are your standards? What do you expect what kind of behavior do you expect from the men that you date or the men that you're in a relationship with? And are you lowering your standards or making excuses for a widower just because he lost his wife and because of his loss? So anyway, that's kind of the first mistake I see women make. The second mistake is actually one of the mistakes that I see widowers make, is that they settle for less. That there's this feeling out there that, this widower, he isn't everything that I want. He's a great guy, except, and they go on and list 2 or 3 things that, make him not such, maybe this isn't like the ideal relationship, but here's the issue is that it's hard to meet guys. I'm going to have a hard time finding somebody that's even remotely close to what I want, and so I'm going to settle again for companionship. I can't tell you how many times I've been in coaching sessions or whatever, and both people in the relationship have settled, right? They could both be, they've both settled and decide, well, I can't do any better. And the problem is when you settle and say that I can't do any better, then you're setting yourself up for long-term failure and long-term pain. Again, it may be good in the short term to think, well, here's somebody in my life. He's not exactly perfect. There's, I don't know, whatever. He's still grieving his wife, or he's not ready to open his heart, but maybe if I'm just patient, things will change. It doesn't really happen, by the way. They can make progress pretty fast if they're ready to do it. But again, the second mistake is that you settle, and I think that's a direct result of lowering expectations. Again, you make the first mistake of I'm not going to expect the same behavior for him, and then you end up in a relationship where you have settled for something less than you deserve. I always tell the women to think, you should be treated like a queen. How is it that you want to be treated, and why do you expect less from this widower you date? There is no reason for it. And I understand that, yes, it is hard to go out there, especially as you get older, to meet guys or to find guys that want something that you do. But by staying in a relationship that's not giving you what you want, and by settling, that's 100% guarantee you're never going to find anybody that, that can live up to those expectations, that you can find that guy that can live up to the expectations that you have. Again, I'll go back to my relationship with Juliana. We had bumps and ups and downs as she adjusted to dating a widower, but she never lowered her expectations of what she expected from me, and she never settled. She pretty much told me, it's like, look, this is the behavior I expect from the guys that I'm dating, and this is what I want from a future husband. And if you're not willing to meet those standards, I'm gone. And it was a kick in the butt for me. That's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to know, because it helped me evaluate, well, am I serious about the relationship? And that actually ties right into the third mistake I see women make, is that they are afraid to have these hard conversations, like one that I just talked about that Julie and I had. They're afraid to have these hard conversations because they fear how the widower will react. Well, if I have this hard conversation with him about him wearing the wedding ring, or the pictures on the wall, or the fact that he goes to the cemetery every day and cries, if I have these hard conversations, well, the widower may end the relationship, right? He may stop, or he may say that he's not ready to do it. And again, it's going back, they're lowering their expectations, and they're settling. I know these conversations are hard to have, but they're necessary to have, because really, I don't understand this fear of, well, if I don't say anything, things are going to get better. No. It doesn't work that way. Things don't just get better on their own. In fact, if you don't say anything, if you don't have these hard conversations, widowers often think that you're just fine with it because you're not saying anything. If there is an issue that you want to address, speak up. And yes, you know what? If you have these hard conversations, there's a chance he might react poorly to it and end the relationship. But guess what? The relationship was going to end anyway. Would you rather know now, or would you rather know 6 months from now? When it's bound to come up, and the problems get worse. Know what your standards are. Know what it is that you expect from a guy, no matter his, whether he's widowed, divorced, or single. Know what it is that you expect, and don't settle. And then, again, if you're worried, well, is he ready to open his heart? Well, have these hard conversations. Yeah, you know what? It may end the relationship. It may put a damper on it, but it forces him to decide what it is that he wants, and it forces you to decide what is it that I really want in the relationship. And if you're not willing to have these hard conversations about this, what other kind of hard conversations are you not going to have in the future? Because when you're in a serious relationship, you have to have hard conversations. They're not just about widower related issues. There's going to be conversations about finances. There's going to be conversations about family related issues. There could be other hard conversations that you're going to have. And if you can't have these hard conversations now, it's not going to be easier 2 months from now or 2 years from now to have these hard conversations. So again, don't settle, or don't lower your standards and expectations. Don't settle for a relationship just because you may have a hard time finding another guy, or whatever the thing is. And the third is if you think you are in a relationship where he's not ready to move on, or he's not making progress, well, let's have these hard conversations. Again, if you want to go over strategy and how to frame things, we can schedule a coaching session. We can go over these kind of things. But again, these are the most common mistakes. I'm going to go over them one more time for widowers. It's dating just to fill the hole in their heart. It's latching on to the first person that they come in contact with. And again, it's settling for companionship and not a relationship. And then with women dating widowers, lowering their standards, settling for a relationship, and then just being afraid to have these hard conversations. Basically, if you can avoid these three mistakes, you'll know pretty quick whether or not the person you're dating is looking for the same thing you are, and you can actually have a happy relationship instead of settling for something that might give you short-term, it might settle your heart short-term, but long-term is not going anywhere. Anyway, hope you have found these helpful. If you've seen other mistakes or you want to talk about other mistakes you want me to address in future videos, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Like and subscribe to this channel so you can get updates when new videos come out. Anyway, I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and I will see you next Wednesday.